What's happening, everybody?
Welcome to the all-new, revamped, new and improved, now with 40% more chewy goodness.
Deep.
Bursts of flavor.
You are
and
silly.
maybe a couple of arguments from time to time. This is still the All Over the Place podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But things are going to look a little different around here, I think, going forward.
Okay.
We're making some changes, and if you have followed the All Over the Place podcast, by the way, I'm Dara Star Tucker.
Greg Bryant.
This is Greg Bryant. If you have followed the All Over the Place podcast, you've witnessed the metamorphosis. It has shifted and changed and morphed with the times, but this is actually somewhat closer to the original concept for the podcast. Just Greg Bryant, who is my significant other. He's my husband. Our marriage turned into an adult this year.
Did it really? That's right. Whenever you say that, I'm like, what is she talking about? We've always been adults, sort of.
You literally contradicted me when I said that on stage one time.
Yeah,
like,
I was like, what? It's like, what? What is she talking about? Oh, yeah, 18 years.
We are 18 this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Greg has been my partner in life and in music and in a lot of other things. But we started this podcast kind of together a little bit. It was my podcast, but Greg was oftentimes my sparring partner.
I'm going to ask you this. Was it 2001 or was it, 2021 or 2022? No, there were no podcasts in 2001. 2021 or 2022. I think 2021, but we for sure were in Newark, New Jersey, hunkered down towards the second half of the pandemic. We started to see a light in the tunnel, but everybody was still kind of inside. Yeah. They had just started to move around, and you had this idea to push play. You kind of were reluctant to do a podcast. I remember you're like, I'm already online. I'm finding what my voice is. These videos are taking off. Why do I need a podcast? And I was like, look, you need a podcast because you can't say everything in 3 minutes or less.
I didn't remember that you were the one who encouraged me to start a podcast.
I did. And I'll tell you this, Dara is the person who encouraged me to do my first podcast in 2013.
Podcast. Yeah, way back when.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you fought me hard on that.
I did. We'll talk about this later.
Oh,
but
yeah, I'm sure everyone's tuning at the gates to learn the whole podcasting story.
That wasn't what I was going to allude to. The fact that now we're both broadcasters. But at the time,
we're now both in radio.
I was a broadcaster on pause, if you will. I had a career in broadcasting and had stopped. And you had the idea. You're always telling me these stories about what you love and what you like. You need to do a podcast. And I sort of, gotcha, echoed the same thing to you in 2021 in our apartment in Newark, New Jersey.
Yeah. Well, we want to tell you what we're cooking up here. Mm-hmm. Really, the whole point of this going back and forth about the podcast thing is that this is, I don't know, it's kind of a meshing of concepts a little bit. We're still trying to figure out what this is all going to look like. But I think, as I've tested the waters with different configurations for this podcast, you all have seen me, kind of throwing out some episodes of the front page over the last couple of years. I hope you all have enjoyed that. I feel like we need to loosen things up just a little bit more. I feel like, as I'm now a broadcaster. I'm on KJLH here in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. Greg is on Sirius XM. He's on their jazz station. And I feel like I'm kind of missing that outlet where I just get to talk, get to have real conversation, stretch out, not really worry that much about the time. If it's an hour and a half, it's an hour and a half. If it's 45 minutes, then it's that.
And you guys know you love to hear Dara talk.
Oh, well,
because
some of them may just like to hear about
if they're already subscribed, they want to hear what you have to say. First of all, before we get started,
we've already gotten started.
We want to make sure that people know where to find you and find me.
Yeah, they know they can find me at Dara Star Tucker, DARASTARR Tucker on most platforms except Instagram, where I'm Dara Tucker B, and I'm that on Threads as well,
and on Substack. Substack.com/Dara Tucker B. That's where we want you guys to go.
And they can find you where?
You can find me on Instagram, GB_Watchman. That's GB_Watchman. and on Substack now, which is being revived. Substack.com/thevinylword. Substack.com/thevinylword.
Yeah, we're getting a jump on all the folks who are going to either start podcasts at the first of the year or be doing brand new things and trying to get consistent. Trying to get consistent with podcasts and stuff at the first of the year. You heard it here, folks. For sure. It's December. Mm-hmm. It's not any special kind of time, mm-hmm. and we're getting on the ball because we believe in being ahead of the curve.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, this is I think at least this iteration of all over the place. Mm-hmm. Is really, I think, going to be more about conversation. I tended to notice with a lot of those early episodes where Greg would join me on the podcast, and it really was just more of like a talk to the camera, a talk at the mic. By the way, if you're not watching this podcast, you can watch it on YouTube. It's available in video form on YouTube. But yeah, when I would notice when I would go look at the numbers on the back end, the episodes where Greg and I would just have conversation mm-hmm. about topics that were really important to us, those episodes would actually do really well.
Wow.
They would do better than a lot of the episodes where we would bring guests in.
Because I wanted to know, when you got home this morning, you kind of had a burst of energy and we had this conversation. Is that why you landed to change the format? Was it numbers only? Was it just wanting me in the frame? Because I feel like, and shout out to all my feminists out there, Dara don't really need no help. If I can say that like that. Dara don't need no help. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be along with Dara. But I've always been a proponent of you having your own things, you expressing your own mind and having your own lane. Unlike, many, couples, no shade. But when you asked me this morning, maybe we should come back and do this like we started to do it.
Well, it's because you've been talking about starting a podcast. You're like, I need to get in. We have a membership to a recording club here in LA. And you've been talking about getting in there and we're paying for time every month and not using it. Mm-hmm. And over again, you keep bringing up this idea of going in and doing a podcast. And
so she's taking my thunder, y'all.
I'm not trying to take your thunder.
She's taking my thunder.
The whole concept here is that what we would love to do and what we plan to do, mm-hmm. we're already kind of organizing this and getting some scheduling done on it, but we'll have a dedicated podcast every week. We plan to release these episodes on Tuesdays, and we're going to be consistent with this going forward. But then we also plan to have another element where we do these breakout episodes where mm-hmm. there's a focus on both me and him. So
separately,
after this,
a focus on you and a focus on myself.
Yeah. So Greg may be in the podcast that I do as a breakout, but mm-hmm. it will be focused on me, just some thing that I really just want to nerd out about mm-hmm. or whatever. And so just a preview of what my first breakout podcast will be. I think I'm going to nerd out about Dick Van Dyke. I've gotten the chance to go and actually hang at his home, not mm-hmm. just me personally, but I've gone to a couple of events mm-hmm. that have been put on at his home, mm-hmm. and he's turning 100 this year. And so I'm getting ready to do a breakout episode on just my whole journey with the Dick Van Dyke Show, what has drawn me to that show, why I'm so utterly obsessed with it, why he's my favorite person mm-hmm. on earth. And so that'll be my breakout episode, and we're going to make that available to our paid subscribers
on Patreon.
On Patreon and on Substack. So if you follow me on Substack or Patreon, you'll have access to that breakout episode. And then, Greg, what are you talking about this week for your breakout?
I think I've decided to talk about the Chick Corea album, Now He Sings, Now He Sobs. I just found original pressing of that album, something that I've heard on CDs since I was a teenager, but never owned on the original vinyl. And it's an important record in his career. And it also helps me to talk about something that may be our next topic for our podcast. Okay. But I won't give that away right now. But if you haven't subscribed to Dara's Patreon, again, it's patreon.com/Dara Star Tucker and substack.com/Dara Tucker B.
Is it at Dara Tucker?
Thank you. Substack.com/at Dara Tucker B. Thank you. Substack.com/at Dara Tucker B.
Or something like that. If you don't find it at Dara Tucker B, then it's just /Dara Tucker. be. But yeah, we're getting organized with it. The concept of kind of what we want to bring to you every week. We want to be as consistent as we possibly can, and draw more people into the fold. I heard someone say yesterday talking about their podcast, they're like, yeah, we're not really worried about going viral at all. It's just all about creating a community of people who are here and who care about like deep conversations, who want to become more knowledgeable about whatever it is. And those are the kind of folks we want to draw in. We want to find our people. We want to do a better job of finding our people and being able to reach them and communicate with you and actually have community with you and have conversations back and forth, whatever, in the Substack or the Patreon. So yeah, we would really encourage you to join those platforms. Greg Bryant on his Substack, me on my Substack, and me on my Patreon, and just kind of for a little bit of a deeper experience. And if you already are a member of any of those platforms,
thank you.
Your support means a lot to us.
If you have a question for Dara, write this email down: darastartucker@gmail.com. If you have a question, we would like to answer it. And it can be for just Dara. It could be for the both of us, even for me. But if you have questions, Dara Star Tucker, 2 R's, darastartucker@gmail.com.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
it's good to be back.
Yeah, it is. It is good to be back, just having kind of a sit down, dedicated podcast conversation, because I find that like I said, I'm doing a morning show called The Front Page here on KJLH Radio 102.3 here in Los Angeles. And that's a daily show. It happens really early, 4:30 to 6 in the morning, and that's Pacific time. You can always listen on the app, the KJLH app, if you want to hear that show daily. And that's I've posted some of the episodes as podcasts, but it's a unique thing. It's something I've never done before.
I'm proud of you.
And if you like
really
that daily check-in thing where you're hearing the news, then you're hearing commentary, I've got my kind of, I don't know, sidekick co-hosts or whatever you'd call them, producers. We get to chop it up a little bit. Yeah, I do some interviews there, but some days we just have conversations. So if you enjoy that kind of thing, I would encourage you to listen to The Front Page on the KJLH app. But,
or from anywhere in the world, it's at the website is kjlhradio.com in real time.
/podcasts. Yeah, you can listen in real time or listen later, like, podcasty kind of thing.
Right on.
Yeah, but have we actually got a show planned for today, or are we just talking about what
we do have a show planned for today?
I was like, man, talking about what the podcast is supposed to be, that's not a podcast.
Oh,
that's
man.
not a show.
You see 10 minutes have already gone by, so we've talked about it.
You see how many minutes we have on our battery? I think we're going to be able to talk through our battery life, and then we've got to reset and do our individual breakouts.
No worries. That sounds good. I guess the first thing is, man, you always are a student of the news. You help us to understand what it's about. What do you think about this Pete Hegseth situation where he is literally ordering the military to shoot down boats?
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting,
international waters.
Whether this is, and it's going to be old news by the time we post it, but it's going to be interesting, whether or not this ends up being anything. I was talking to my producer for The Front Page this morning, and he was like, well, is this it? Is this the thing? And I'm like, how often have we said that about Trump or anyone in his organization? Is this the thing that's going to take him down? They seem to be pretty immune to public criticism. They don't like it.
Yeah.
But what is it going to take for this to be meaningful? It would take a lot of members of their own party to turn on him. And as we speak, he is attempting to divert responsibility from himself for and if you don't know what we're speaking of, he's basically launched a kill order to they've been bombing boats off of Venezuela and claiming that this is all about finding drug lords and stuff, and we don't know. These people have not been investigated or tried or anything. Killing people, blowing up folks off the Venezuelan coast and other places too. And then there was a kind of a report that came to the fore about him having ordered them to kill, just absolutely annihilate everyone on the boat. Not just, we're dropping this bomb to stop the boat, but no, we're seeing that there are 2 or 3 survivors. We're going to just bomb them again, just so that we destroy everything and everyone. So, this man has written a book called The War on Warriors. He is obsessed with war. And he's of particular concern to me. I have started a breakdown on Pete Hegseth because he's a weirdo.
Yeah.
With this weird, right-wing cross kind of tattoo on his chest. When you start to investigate this dude, it gets really weird and very scary. I'm listening to a book right now on the rise and fall of the Third Reich. And as a lot of you know, I studied, my major was German studies in college. So I've done a lot of study around this stuff already. But I'm really just in this era of MAGA and of Trump, a lot of this stuff just feels newly relevant.
Yeah.
And it's just really interesting to see in this era of Trump and this era of MAGA and a lot of these acolytes that he keeps around him, a lot of them have a very similar philosophy to a lot of the mindsets that helped the Third Reich to rise in Germany. And it sounds almost hyperbolic to throw that out there. And I know that there are a lot of comparisons that are always being made. I've done several videos going, hey, are there real parallels between what is going on with MAGA and what happened in Germany in the 1930s and 40s? I think there are more parallels than what a lot of people are comfortable acknowledging. And I don't think it's just hyperbole.
I don't have a degree in German studies, and I agree with you 100%. I will give you, my street synthesis of it. I'm not a street guy. I'm not a tough guy, but I study, and I've studied since a teenager, the moves and patterns of so-called tough people. Pete Hegseth is not tough.
No.
Somebody has never had an ass kicking before, and it shows. It shows. Get this guy in a room with some real generals. Get this guy in a room with some real tough guys, some real gangsters, some real titans, and I promise you, he will be screaming for his mother within 2 minutes.
Yeah. Did you see the video of him trying to do pull-ups?
I have not, but I want to. You know the type. If you've been to public school, you know the type. The guy that runs with all the killers, with all the gangsters, with all the rowdies. But he can't stand on his own 2 feet, and he wouldn't if he had the opportunity. He would run and hide. I think that's a very simple synthesis, but I think it's a very accurate one. And to piggyback off of what you're saying, yes, this is a bully mentality that comes from somewhere, and where it comes from does not look like anything that anybody should repeat.
Yeah, this dude's clearly missing some love and some care in his childhood, and had to try to prove himself to be a lot tougher than he actually is. And he's, as Mark Kelly said, Mark Kelly, the senator from Arizona, said they're now trying to investigate him for telling people to not follow unlawful orders, which is ridiculous.
Let's have a good old-fashioned cage match.
Yeah. Mark Kelly said he's embarrassing.
Pete Hegseth.
He's like, Pete Hegseth is like, I don't remember what the comparison that he made, but he's like, he's like, this is like a kid playing Army.
Yeah.
He's just an embarrassing person. So, we're going to see if this means anything in the long run. As I said on Threads a few days ago, I'm like, it's really sad that these kind of just earth-shattering things happen, and then 2 days later, their birdcage liner, like I said, this is going to air several days later from when we are recording it, because we want to get on a consistent Tuesday morning schedule. I don't even know if we said that. Did we say that?
You did say that.
On Tuesday mornings.
You did say that.
And we'll probably go live at I'm thinking 3 a.m. Pacific time, just so that it can hit at
6 a.m. Eastern.
6 a.m. So it'll go up pretty early Pacific time.
Yep.
But it's just crazy that it all becomes passé within a couple of days, 2 or 3 days, and everybody's on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Just Trump calling a reporter piggy, and it's like, all right, Trump tweeted 150 times last night, or Truth Social, 150 times in the course of something like an hour, less than an hour.
Yeah.
This is insanity.
Yeah.
We're being asked to live through insane times. And so far, it just feels like a roller coaster ride that we can't get off of, which is a lot of why it's important for me to stay before you guys right now, to be checking in regularly, because we have to remind each other that we're not the crazy ones.
We're not.
We ain't crazy. If you thought you were crazy looking at what you're looking at, and it just feels like no one can stop it, you're not crazy. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted to revisit a lot of the story around what happened during Hitler's rise,
right?
Because this all follows a particular pattern. One thing I noticed from reviewing the evolution of what happened with the rise of the Nazis is that it wasn't even so much that a majority of the people were behind them. It wasn't so much that. It was that a majority of the people just weren't paying attention. A majority of the people were not organized. A majority of the people were distracted. A majority of the people were bickering and fighting amongst themselves,
right,
and could not organize themselves against a minority of people who were absolutely determined to do what they were going to do.
If you didn't just lay out what's going on right now, you sure did.
Yeah,
you sure did.
And you can, that's what strikes me. It's like,
and
man,
you can
that's
do
crazy
something.
How it lays out just the same way.
You can resist. I said from the stage 2 weeks ago on my band Concurrence's tour, we don't need the government to help our neighbors. We can help our neighbors. We can help our friends. We can be the resistance. We can raise our voices. You know, a lot of us just scroll, but even at the very minimum, you can share someone like Dara's content, and you know, battle down folks that try to say that it's not true. You know what the truth is. You know what's right and what's wrong. And if people are being oppressed and lulled into submission against their will, how can that be right? I'm sorry, whatever where your politics lie is not important. You know that thing in you that wants its, you know, personal space and autonomy. And when that is inflicted upon, it doesn't feel so good. Simple. And that's why we both have to, all of us have to figure out ways to get involved, to be able to be the support that we need, to not be lulled into inactivity, as you just said.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. I think, you know, this is that phrase, power to the people, just continues to rise up.
I love that.
Continues to rise up
I
with
love
me.
that.
'Cause I'm like, at some point, we're going to figure it out. And you'll probably hear me say this a million times, but like at some point, we are going to figure out that the power lies with us, that no one is coming to save us. There is no cavalry that is on the way. We are our own rescue squad, and we have to act like it. And I think a lot of people are beginning to understand that in a way that we never have, because these are unprecedented times. You know, as they say, I'm ready to live through some precedented times.
Yeah.
But, you know, these are times that a lot of us have never lived through. And so we're kind of always used to the government kind of swooping in and just making sure that things aren't too bad. But I think we're starting to observe what happens when the government isn't even really willing to play that role. I mean, you were going to bring up something around the SNAP benefits and how now
let's talk about that next time, but I do want to talk about that. I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that's a way, number one, where we see what they promised in the big, beautiful bill. And as you were talking about, Project 2025 is real, is happening. And also, in a real sense, as they pull back, as the government pulls out of people's lives, we can help people to have the quality of life maybe that they never had, because there's wealth here that allows nobody to go hungry, nobody to truly be poor. We have got to devise ways on our own, big and small, to just what I was saying, be a part of someone's solution, be a part of someone's efficiency, quality of life. And yeah, I do want to get into that, but I really want to save that maybe for next time if we can. We're going to pivot a little bit and talk about best of 2025 because you, my goodness, you have had, my dear, a magnificent year. And I am so happy to be witnessing firsthand, front row seat, center, to the Dara Star Tucker 2025 extravaganza. And it really started in December of 2024. But one of the major deals, and I'm just going to rattle off a few things here. You've always wanted to live in the state of California. And Dara did, fun fact, twice in her adolescent years for a period of like 6 months to a year each time, something like that. But she has always had a professional and personal goal as an adult to end up in SoCal, Southern California. And you made that happen. Congratulations publicly.
I didn't make it happen.
You made it happen. Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
I didn't actually make it happen. I just sat back and watched it happen.
One of the big highlights has been seeing Dara come into her own as a broadcaster. Not a podcaster. She was already doing that. But as a broadcaster, as she mentioned earlier, she is the host of Front Page on KJLH Radio 102.3 in Los Angeles, California, a station owned proudly by Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
One of your idols, one of my idols.
Are we telling that story today? Was this when this is supposed to happen?
Man,
we got a good 15 minutes left.
You just want to
see our
give the
time up here?
You want to just give the highlights, and then you talk about which one you want to talk about. Because I've got a long list of.
I mean, is this our
stuff.
episode to get into the story? Because I don't have a whole lot of time.
You know
to
what?
get into the real story.
Let's just focus on that. We'll do part 2 maybe next time.
Okay.
Best of 2025 part 1 is what we're doing right now.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
let's talk about the move to California. You can talk about circumstances. You can talk about dreams.
I don't have a whole lot of time to talk about anything. Look, the short and long of it is Greg Bryant has been working in radio most of his life, really. He's been working in radio for 30 years or something like that.
Plus.
We finally were able to break out of Nashville. That's a whole story in and of itself. Got to Newark, New Jersey. He was working for WBGO there for a while. That opportunity fell through. They ended up getting rid of a bunch of people all at once. Greg was one of those people. And he ended up getting an offer really within a few months to move to Philly and work for WRTI, which is another jazz radio station. So we were there in Philly. I'm like, I don't know what my particular focus should be right now. I was really starting to develop an online presence and built up my audience and really was working on like, okay, regardless of where we are, because we had moved twice by then. So I'm like, I need to be able to have a thing, especially after the pandemic, that I can do from anywhere. I need to be able to just go for it regardless. And so I was finding my voice, just finding my way to speak out and had gotten up to like 1 million followers. It's at 1.5 million now. So I'm like, okay, I'm hitting on all cylinders, I felt like, and didn't really have a whole lot else in mind. Was going to start trying to figure out what I wanted to do locally there in Philadelphia in terms of just getting more plugged in with the community, the music community there. And then, we just get a call out of the blue. Greg got a call. Greg's always getting the calls.
Emails
and they don't
mostly.
come to me. Emails, calls, and stuff.
Mostly.
And he's having to tell me what's going on with
I was at work.
my life, my career.
I was at work one night, and it was a weekday night, I remember, and I'd gotten off of the air, and I was in the office preparing for the next day's show. Pacific time out here, obviously, is 3 hours behind East Coast time. I say that because it was business day for KJLH. I was getting ready to leave and go home, and my phone buzzes, and it's an email. I go to it, and this is the program director for KJLH Radio, a station owned by Stevie Wonder in Los Angeles, California. We're aware of Dara's work. She is extraordinary. We would like to have a conversation to discuss the possibility of her coming on with us. And it didn't say completely in what capacity, but it was a suggestion of a radio show. I saw that, and I just jaw on the ground. And I was like, this is a hoax. Because, see, I field all of these things that are hoaxes. These people have gotten AI is really crafty about.
Well, it wasn't even AI at that point.
No, but it was still the the height of the scammer era, 2021, 2020. No, it's 2023, early 2023. I was like, oh my goodness, let me go and research this right now because, oh my God, I do my research on the man's name, on the station's name, the fact that it's who it's owned by, and the email address, obviously, it's checking out.
Seems legit.
It's checking
out.
He
calls me and is like, I'm just really proud of you. I'm really proud. He's like, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, you've done this. You built your audience.
Say that.
You've blah, 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 blah. You've done this. You've done that. Oh, you're doing great. I was like, well, thank you. He's like, a lot of people have heard what you do. A lot of people have heard you at this point. I was like, well, yeah, there's been some cool people. And he rattled off a couple of people that follow me now, just people that I pay attention to. Look, my heroes, several of them have found my work. He was like, yeah, and Stevie Wonder's heard you. Stevie Wonder. I was like, I don't know about that. That seems a little outlandish. He was like, no, I think Stevie's heard you. I said, nah, Dad, I don't think Stevie's heard me.
What would you say, Dara, if I told you? He
started chuckling. He was like, Stevie's heard you. Stevie's heard you. Mm-hmm. I was like, what are you talking about? He said, look. And then he told me about the email that he received. It was pretty trippy. Then he got back and he was like showing me the email. Like, is this real? Do you think this is real? And so we're both investigating, trying to find the names and figure out if it was a real opportunity. But anyway, I started doing a show last year that was just half an hour long on Sundays. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of their slot to kind of test people out Sunday evening, Sunday afternoons. Yeah. And apparently Stevie listens to that slot. So
he does. And there were also audience calls. And I'm thinking on a Sunday night, early Sunday night, it's like 6 p.m. on a Sunday night in Los Angeles. People are listening to the radio. My God.
Yeah, it was a pre-recorded show that I would send in. So I did that for a year, and then they reached out at the end of last year. No, well, not this. Well, no, it would have been like
October-ish, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, want to know if you would be interested, curse us out, tell us we're crazy, if Dara would be interested, and you, Greg, would be interested in relocating to Los Angeles, California to host the morning show, The Front Page, that we're bringing back.
Yeah, news and information, public affairs, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, so apparently this was, not apparently, obviously, this was an historic show that started back in the early 90s. During the Rodney King riots, the Front Page started and has been a staple of the Los Angeles community, has been that kind of local resource that people go to. And we get, lots of calls every day from all kinds of interesting characters, all kinds of people that just, they have something to say. They want to stay connected. And it's really cool to see that radio is still thriving here. And it's thriving particularly in the Black community.
Yes, it is.
KJLH is a staple in Los Angeles. And I mean, they have all kinds of events. We're getting ready to do like an event for it's called Stuff a Bus. Folks are bringing out toys and gifts to give away. There's what's the holiday thing they do where Stevie performs? It's the holiday concert they do, which is a charitable event every year. They have a women's conference. They have a men's empowerment conference. They do all kinds of local events for the community.
Taste of Soul.
Taste of Soul. Yeah, there's always something going on there that is very, very community focused. So this has been a really cool. It's kind of an antidote almost to like the online world that I have lived in for the last 5 years or so.
Yes.
It's super hyper local. I mean, I bring in a lot of national guests, and if you have listened to the Front Page, I'm just now realizing that some people listening here might actually be
your listeners on the Front Page.
Of the Front Page. But yeah, if you've listened to that show, then I've brought on a lot of my mutuals from my the social commentary that I do online, a lot of the political commentators, social commentators, just some of my favorite people. So it's a melding of those two worlds, which is really cool.
It's awesome
for me.
And you've also gotten to interview some of your musical heroes like Gregory Porter, Mark Kibble from Take Six, Fred Hammond, John P. Key, both from the gospel world. Comedian Bill Bellamy has been on your show.
Right. Yeah,
also, you've had a banner year on the radio. And my goodness, as a broadcaster, Dara has actually come to me, listen to the show. Tell me what's working for you.
I really do.
Tell me what you don't like.
And if he didn't make it through the show, if he was falling asleep, I'm like, you didn't.
I want you to go back. I want you to go back and listen.
And I wasn't even listening to that. I wasn't listening back to the show until probably a few weeks ago.
Exactly.
And I started listening back myself.
That's the way you get better. But my God, the learning curve, it may be steep for some, but Dara has gone to this as a fish in water. And I think you've been able to train yourself as an online presence, going to the radio in a way that a lot of folks who would be just starting cold would have trouble, not just getting in front of a microphone, but being compelling and having a show that narratively moves from place to place throughout a 90-minute content span. Yeah. I'm just really proud of you.
I appreciate it.
I really am, because, oh my God, like even from the first show, I knew she's not going to have very many problems. It's caused you to also think on your feet. It's caused you to be more of an improviser. Yeah, we get that from the jazz world, but doing it on a talk radio show is maybe a little bit different. Yeah. Someone maybe forgot to set their alarm and didn't show up as a guest. Dara still has to fill that time. Someone has a technical difficulty that prohibits the guest out of town from getting on the air. Dara still has to fill that time. And I promise you, any tragedy that's come up, she's handled it somehow with flying colors.
Except when Robert Redford died.
Well, that's okay to shed tears. Tears are okay.
That was a moment.
Tears are okay. And it was easily a commercial break, and we came back. We've seen the best do that. Walter Cronkite, when the president, was killed. Other people who have lost loved ones in real time in broadcast. It's okay to cry, but it's okay to be human and to recover. And you may not be able to get into the depth of a topic as a podcast would allow, but somehow Dara still, with her guests, goes a little bit underneath the surface. And I can tell it's successful qualitatively because there's always new callers. There's a legacy of family, if you will, extended KJLH family, people who call, every other day, once, twice a week, but every day is a new caller. And that just tells me new people are waking up to what you're doing. So pat yourself. Pat yourself.
Thank you so much. Anyway, getting to meet Stevie Wonder, I would say, has been a huge highlight of this year.
We can tell that. We
talked to him briefly before we came. We had a couple of phone conversations, Zoom conversations. Greg, of course, was, I think, the first one to talk to him, weren't you? Yeah, he called you.
I was, as the program director called me and said, hey, is Dara near? It's like, yeah, I'll get her just a second. We've got someone that wants to talk to her. Steve, are you on the line? And then I hear this familiar voice. I was like, man, that's Ribbon in the Sky.
It's so bad.
That's Superstition. That's You Got It Bad, Girl. That's Send When You Love.
Master Blaster jamming.
Rocket Love is on right there.
Oh my God.
I was like, wow.
Yeah, but he, Greg has been kind of that liaison a little bit, sometimes unexpectedly. He's been just that person who has fielded the good and the bad and the in between and whatever. But yeah, he was that with Stevie. So he was technically the first one to make contact with him, but I've gotten the chance, the first time that my producer and I got to sit down with Stevie when we got here, it was just mind blowing. We're still talking about it. Our feet were 6 inches off the ground.
I can believe it.
I don't think they've ever come down, but yeah, every time you see him, it's just, it's just, he's a real person. That's what strikes you.
Yeah.
Like, man, this dude's flesh and blood. Okay, calm down a little bit, but still recognize and understand this is a legend walking on the earth. And so it's an honor to be here. It's nothing I ever would have planned for, expected, nothing. Even being in California, like Greg said, this is where I always wanted to be. Mm-hmm. But just to see the way that life kind of in, divine order has just placed me, and, Greg will tell his story at some point in the near future, but has placed me exactly where I had wanted to be for so many years. It's just, it's been a really cool thing to observe. It's just like, man, you didn't have to force the issue. Mm-hmm. You just sort of let it happen. And it certainly didn't happen without work. Right. But it was not something that I orchestrated.
I think it's brilliant and beautiful that Mr. Higher Ground knows who you are. I think that's so cool, man. I think it's so cool.
Ordinary Love. Ordinary Pain.
Ordinary Pain knows who you are. Pastime Paradise knows who you are, and hired you and heard,
Seal delivered.
And heard something.
That man wrote at 20.
Heard something in your Instagrams shown to him by one of his sons.
Mumtaz. Want to shout out Mumtaz Morris, the son of Stevie, who actually I believe was the first to introduce him to my stuff.
Hey Pop, listen to this.
Yeah, program director Chris as well.
It's been a pleasure. Listen, we've got part 2 coming next week of the best of 2025. Greg and Dara's best of 2025.
Yeah, it's for me personally, and I have to say this with a caveat to say that 2025 has been a different experience for Greg. Mm-hmm. And if you're in a long-term relationship and marriage, whatever, if you have been ever, then you know what I'm talking about. It's like, we're not attached to the hip. We are having very different experiences right now. So for 2025, for me, has been, I would say, so far the best. So far, it's December. It has been the best year, I would say, of my life.
That's awesome.
And that's by far.
That's incredible.
That's by far, and I'm so privileged and honored and pleased and glad that this is, as the Bible says, your latter will be greater than your former. I feel like that's the case.
Hey man.
And I'd rather peak at this point in my life, getting into middle age. I'd rather peak now than to have peaked in high school and just be kind of wondering what happened.
Amen.
So there's a lot of things I felt like should have come together, never did, but now are starting to kind of coalesce.
In His own good time. And that's a song that you will hear soon from Dara Star Tucker.
We've got so much to share, you guys, just about life and how it's kind of mixing and blending with everything that's happening right now in our world. And this is our place to share that with you. So if you like this kind of thing, just a mix of real life and public events, current events, just our analysis, commentary on things, please give us a follow, subscribe, and all of the stuff. You can find us online again, me at Dara Star Tucker. That's with Dara with 1 R. My friend Indy Ari, who I'm going to talk about, I think, in the next one. My close personal friend, Ari.
She
says, say Dara with 1 R and Star with 2. So Dara Star Tucker on most platforms, Dara Tucker B on Instagram. And of course, like I said, you can follow the radio show at kjlhradio.com. Greg, how can they find you?
Right. Again, on Instagram, that's GB_Watchman, GB_Watchman. man, and on substack.com/thevinylword. Bonus episodes coming from both of us on
Sign up
Patreon.
for the Patreon,
Patreon.com/Dara Star Tucker.
Or go to the Substack and you
That's
can get our
cool. That's
breakout
cool too.
episodes.
That's cool too.
Substack.com/@ Dara Star Tucker or what
At Dara Tucker B, right? Yeah,
Yes.
at Dara Tucker B.
They can actually do
either
either,
one.
but the Dara Tucker B is probably my preferred one.
We'll list all this in the description.
And yeah, with Greg, his is
substack.com/thevinylword.
Is it at the vinyl word?
No, it's
Try
just
it
the
either way.
vinyl word.
Yeah.
But get them both episodes on the Patreon. Get them both. Just get them both.
Yes.
Patreon.com/Dara Star Tucker. Thank you.
Thank you for helping us build. We're building something. This is always shifting, transforming, becoming something. And we appreciate those of you who have gone along for the ride with us. We're so happy to have you here. So yeah, please do sign up, become a paid member, and connect, reach out. Let us know that you're listening. Let us know that you're there. We want to know who you are and interact with you. So yeah, until next time, we're signing off. We'll get a good sign off at some point. But thank you for being here.
All over the place. Peace.